Well, folks, if you can believe it, and I know you can, we have another Biden crime family crime scene. This time, the University of Delaware. Just after we told you about the $6.7 million the University of Delaware was taking from China after they announced the creation of the Biden Center at the University of Delaware, we then learned after this program that the FBI went in and searched the University of Delaware. 1,800 boxes of Biden documents, many of them going all the way back to his Senate days, were searched by the FBI. No indication of exactly what they found, classified documents or not, or what could be classified. We hope to learn more on this. But finally, the FBI now has gone into another location controlled by Joe Biden. This is getting bad. And folks, again, this comes back to the Chinese and them wanting to pay for influence in this country. $6.7 million. Some of that, according to a investigation by the Government Accountability Institute, the University of Delaware actually checked a box that said, yes, these donations came from the government of China. They actually checked the box, yes. So that means the government was funding the University of Delaware's Biden Center. Why would they want to do that? The only reason, of course, would be for influence. We've told you about all the emails from Joe Biden to his son Hunter, talking about wealth creation when it comes to the University of Pennsylvania and the University of Delaware. We talk about pushing the Biden brand. That was another email that was uncovered when talking about these Biden centers at University of Pennsylvania and the University of Delaware. Now, if you're pushing the Biden brand, what did our guest tell us yesterday? That means maybe you're campaigning, and then that would mean was China funding the campaign of Joe Biden? If so, that too is a crime. This is more than just classified documents. This is about an influence campaign on behalf of the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. Well, a gentleman at the forefront of uncovering so much about the Biden crime family is the man who found out most, if not all, of this information. He is the director of research at the Government Accountability Institute. Seamus Brunner is with us. Seamus, it's great to have you on the program.
Yeah, it's always great to be with you, Grant.
So, Seamus, tell me, was this all from the laptop? How do you get the Delaware stuff? Break it down for me.
Yeah, if there's one thing we can rely on with the Bidens is that wherever they go, Chinese Communist Party cash is sure to follow. It's not all from the laptop. We've corroborated a lot of this from other sources, including the Department of Education has a website. It's not a well-known website. We're looking into it a lot more. We're finding a lot of universities are getting shady foreign cash, but the University of Delaware is a particularly egregious example here. They had never taken Chinese Communist Party cash before. They'd never taken any cash before. And then once the Biden Institute is set up there, the floodgates open. I mean, they get a check for $3.2 million from China, not necessarily the Chinese government. Then they get another almost $9 million from a Chinese source. We don't know who. We're calling these secret donations because we've asked the University of Delaware to name the donors. But once 2020 rolls around, Joe Biden's ramping up his campaign. The University of Delaware has disclosed that they got 3 payments, and they identified these as coming from the Chinese government. So it's really shocking stuff.
Compare this to the University of Pennsylvania, because the University of Pennsylvania did take Chinese money. Did it increase when the Biden Center was announced and ramped up?
Yeah, absolutely did. So the figures at the University of Pennsylvania are bigger. Huge amounts of money, tens of millions, up into 60 million coming from China. We don't know who the donors were. It could have been Alibaba or some big corporation in China, or it could have been, we know that UPenn did not disclose any Chinese government funding. So that's what makes University of Delaware more egregious here with the government funding. I mean, it's hard to imagine why a foreign government would be paying a little university in the state of Delaware, other than the fact that the former vice president, who was at the time running for president, is now got an institute there.
All right, so Joe Biden held he gave a speech today about the unidentified flying object stuff going on, but he was asked about this, which I'm surprised the media is asking, but I do believe there may be a portion of Operation Oust Joe Biden underway. That's a different topic for another day. But he was asked about the Biden stuff, the money at University of Delaware, et cetera, the ties to China. Let me play that and get your response.
Compromised by your family's business relations.
Sir, Mr. President, there has been criticism.
Did you overreact?
Mr. President, there has been criticism that this was an overreaction that was done because of political pressure.
You come to my office and ask the question when they have more polite people.
Mr. President, why have you chosen Poland for your trip to mark anniversary of the war? And what's your message? What?
When are you speaking to President Xi, Mr. President?
So he is so bad when it comes to this stuff. He was being asked there about ties to China, too, and he says, give me a break, man. He gets arrogant about this, Seamus. He shouldn't be that arrogant because, to me, it sure looks like he's guilty of something here.
Yeah, that's his tell. He kind of laughs it off, chuckles about it, never answers the question, but it's just another data point in a long series of shifting excuses from the Biden camp. I mean, when we first broke this Biden-China scandal back in 2018, it was all conspiracy theory. Joe Biden was never even asked about it because the mainstream media ran interference on his behalf. But the campaign would say, and the Biden team would say, oh, this is all conspiracy theories. Then a few people got Joe Biden on the record and said, well, what's going on with the son's business dealings? And he says, oh, well, I never talked to my son about his business deal. I mean, it was ludicrous from the start, but it's shifted to, well, I never met with my son's foreign business partners. Now we know that's not true. He's met with his son's foreign business partners at least a dozen times. And then he's mentioned throughout the laptop, he knew about the deals. Hunter was informing him about the deals. We've got the emails on that. You've got from the laptop, you've got a voicemail that for some reason Hunter saved to his computer, where Joe Biden has left a message for Hunter saying, I read the New York Times piece. This is when the New York Times did one of its very rare investigations into Biden-China dealings. He says, I read the piece. Don't worry about it. You're in the clear. So he has an intimate familiarity. We know Tony Bobulinski met with Joe Biden. Tony Bobulinski says Joe was very familiar with the dealing. So when he gets up there and says that, laughs it off, that's really him not knowing what else to do. And so it's sort of pathetic.
Seamus, last question for you. We had Congress increase the quality of the Biden brand. That could be campaign donations. Do you think this is just one big giant money laundering scheme from China back to the Bidens?
Well, we know that the FBI has been investigating very, very slowly Hunter Biden for money laundering. It absolutely looks like it's money laundering. The sheer number of entities, LLCs, offshore accounts. I mean, there's this group called Hudson West. There's at least 8 Hudson West entities that are the Chinese energy company CEFC is passing millions of dollars through. And that's really the most important point about all of this, from the classified documents to the universities bagging CCP cash, is Hunter Biden is in business with who he calls the spy chief. He's in business with spy chiefs or, people linked to the highest levels of Chinese intelligence at the very moment that he is setting up these Biden brand initiatives. And that's the other thing is when Hunter's planning the Biden Institute, I mean, first of all, it's weird that Hunter Biden is planning Joe's Biden Institute and the UPenn Biden Center. He's planning it in 2016, so Joe is still the vice president. Yeah. So the Chinese cash coming in overlaps significantly, both with Joe's vice presidential tenure and his presidential campaign. And we're not sure what's going on now with Hunter's business dealings.
Well, and let's not forget the email. It says it's all about, quote, this is a quote from their email, wealth creation. Let's not forget about that. And yet, this is the guy who sits in the Oval Office, which is why, again, I'll say it, and I'll say it over and over again. I do believe our biggest national security risk is the man sitting in the Oval Office, which is Joe Biden. But, Seamus, I appreciate you, your institute, Peter Schweitzer, one of your partners, for continuing to just uncover so much stuff on this. Please keep us posted. It is that important. Thank you.
Thanks, Grant.
Absolutely. Good seeing you. All right, folks, coming up after the break, is America safe from a bioweapon attack from China or Russia or potentially a terrorist group? Wait till you hear the next flu strain that they could lay upon us. This is scary. We'll see what we can believe and what we shouldn't believe. That's next.